I will start our presentation with the introduction for our topic. Animal slaughtering is the process of killing animals, most commonly domestic livestock. The animals would generally be slaughtered for food, but they could also be slaughtered for other reasons, such as being diseased and unfit for eating. In Islam, the process of killing animals called halal slaughtering or dabihah. In Arabic, the word halal means permissible. Halal food is defined as food that follows the Sharia law as outlined in the Quran. Cutting the jugular vein, carotid artery, and windpipe is an Islamic way of slaughtering animals or poultry. The meat must be processed using this halal slaughtering method to verify that it is halal. The Holy Quran outlines numerous guidelines for killing spiritually permissible animals. Allah mentions in Surah Al-An'am, verse 121, which means, "Do not eat what it is not slaughtered in Allah's name, for that would certainly be disobedience. Surely the devils whisper to their associates to agree with you. If you were to obey them, then you would be polytheists." Allah also said in Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 3, which means, "Prohibited to you are dead animals, blood, the flesh of swine, and that which has been dedicated to other than Allah, and killed by strangling or by a violent blow, or by a headlong fall, or by the goring of horns, and those from which is a wild animals has eaten, except what you slaughter, and those which are sacrificed on stone altars." For dalil from hadith, the Islamic faith firmly supports the human slaughter of animals. Prophet Muhammad SAW is recorded as stating in Sahih Muslim, Book 21, Chapter 11, number 4810, "Verily Allah has enjoined goodness to everything, so when you kill, kill in a good way, and when you slaughter, slaughter in a good way. So every one of you should sharpen his knife and let the slaughtered animal die comfortably." The Prophet Muhammad SAW also said in his hadith, "When one of you slaughters, let him finish it." This implying that one should sharpen the knife, feed, water, and calm the animal before killing it. The objective of this study is to learn about modern method of halal slaughtering that accepted by Islam nowadays. This is because there are few modern methods of halal slaughtering animals nowadays, such as electrical shock and water bath stunning. Secondly is to learn about method of halal slaughtering with issues related. There are few issues related to slaughtering that we will discuss in this study, which is slaughtering done by biblical scholars, the usage of machine to slaughter an animal, and stunning used in slaughter process.
Today I will talk about method of halal slaughtering. So the first step of the Islamic method of slaughter is there is prescribed for the slaughterer to cut the entire halkum and the entire mareh to ensure that all the dirty blood can be removed from the body of the slaughtered animal. Next, the second step in Islamic slaughterer is the intention to slaughter for the sake of Allah when performing the slaughter, because if it is intended for something other than Allah, then the slaughtered animal will be forbidden to be eaten by Muslim. Therefore, intention is very important in the slaughter ceremony, because it determines whether the slaughtered animal is halal or haram. So the third step is that if a person hold a knife in his hand and detach the knife from his hand, then hits the neck of the animal and cuts off the whole halkum and mareh, it is not counted as slaughter, because there is no intention to slaughter. Then it is not halal to eat the animal meat. The last step in Islamic slaughter is to ensure that the animal dies solely due to slaughter, which is no other act is done that can be fatal to the animal when slaughtered. Next I will talk about the principle of halal slaughtering. The consensus of Islamic jurists says that the pillars of slaughtering animal are divided into four, namely the slaughterer, the slaughtered animal, the slaughtering tool, and the condition of the slaughter. So the first principle, which is the person who slaughter must be Muslim, or people of the book, which is Kitabiyah, as well as puberty and invalid if the child slaughtered the animal. Next, the slaughterer is sensible and invalid if the madman is slaughtering the animal. Finally, the slaughterer is not in the Irham of Hajj and Umrah and deliberately recite the Basmalah as a valid condition to the slaughtering ceremony. The second principle is slaughtered animals must be halal, meaning there must be nice creatures that do not hurt humans who consume them, such as chickens, ducks, cow, and so on. Slaughtered animals should not come from creatures that are prohibited in Islam, such as pig and their descendants, as well as dogs. Even if we slaughter animals that are banned to consume in Islam, it will not become halal. Except for fish and grasshoppers, all animals must be slain. Next, the third principle is the slaughtering tools. The slaughtering tools used for zabiha also have a certain characteristic that have been set in Islam. Namely, the tools used must be sharp tools. What this means is a sharp tools, regardless of knife, bamboo or glass, is permissible, but slaughter using teeth, nails and bones is not halal and is not allowed in Islam. Next, the last principle is place or condition of slaughter. That is, there are two conditions of slaughter, namely the slaughter of animal that have power over it, and the slaughter of animal that have no power over it. Slaughtering animal that has power over it means by capturing and slaughtering the animal. The method of slaughtering this animal is obligatory to perfectly decide the halkum and mareh. On the other hand, slaughtering an animal that has no power over it means an animal that is difficult to catch, or an animal that cannot be slaughtered on its neck, like a normal slaughter, such as animal that falls into a well and is difficult to remove. The method of slaughtering him is sufficient by injuring any part of his body to the point of causing a death.
Thank you to our friends Nabil for the presentation, and from now on, I will present on the modern method of slaughtering. Today, I will describe three types of modern methods of slaughtering, which is water bath stunning, aka electrical stunning, pneumatic stunning, and also penetrating captive bolt stunning. And now we are going to the first types, which is water bath stunning. Water bath stunning is allowed in Islam and commonly used on a small animals such as chickens or ducks, and also among the conditions that must be complied with the water bath stunning, which is need to ensure the chickens and ducks do not die through the electrical current control, and also the process of this electrical shock method must be supervised by a qualified Muslim officer, and that one uses a stunning water bath. But there is also a stunning electrical stunning machine that is used to give an electrical shock to the animal's head. This is because there are two types of stunning electrical machines that apply an electrical shock to the head and to the heart of the animal. And in Islam, we only permissible to use an electrical shock on the head only. And next we go to the second types, which is pneumatic stunning or non-penetrating captive bolt. And non-penetrating captive bolt is a stun use a mushroom-shaped tip, which is propelled by a pressurized air, spring mechanism, or a blanket treat. The bolt strikes the forehead with a great force and immediately strikes. The subsequent concussion is responsible for the unconsciousness of the animal. The bolt may or may not destroy the part of the brain. And okay, let's look in the terms of fatwa. In 2015, the Fatwa Council said that the use of the captive bird mushrooms was illegal because it could kill the animal instantly. But in 2016, the Fatwa's Council said it could be used with the condition that the slaughter must ensure that the skull of the animal is not cracked even slightly when stunned, and if there is a crack on the skull, then the animal is considered as a carcass. And lastly, we are going to the last type, which is penetrating captive bolt. In the penetrating captive bolt type, the stunning uses a pointed bolt, which is propelled by pressure air, spring mechanism, and also cartridge. The bolt penetrates the skull of the animals, enters the cranium, and damages the cerebrum and part of the cerebrum, causing the animal to lose consciousness. It physically destroys brain matter. For the captive bolt device, it is divided into two types, which is non-penetrating captive bolt and also penetrating captive bolts. In Islam, the uses of penetrating captive bolt is illegal because it gives permanent disability to the animal in the brain, even though the animal's heart is still pumping the blood, and it also tortures the animal.
One issue that often arises about slaughtering is the slaughter performed by the biblical scholar or kosher. This is often an issue among Muslims. Who is the biblical scholars? The biblical scholars consist of Judaism and Christianity, who are followers of the Prophet Moses and the Prophet Jesus and hold fast to the teaching of the Bible and the Torah. In general, the halakha laws of the Jews are more stringent and complicated than those of the Muslim. This cannot only be seen in the halal and haram aspect of a food, but it is also more stringent in terms of the way animals are slaughtered, how to cook, and how to eat. So, the law of eating the sacrifice of the scribe is a must. It is the consensus of the scholars based on the words of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala in Surah Al-Ma'idah verse 5, which mean, on this day, everything that is a good is made lawful for you. The food slaughter of the people of the book is lawful for you, and your food is lawful for them. The challenge of facing the issue is that there are illegal difference that cannot be taken lightly, and it can make kosher meat illegal. These differences include the issue of tasmiyah. What is tasmiyah? Tasmiyah is the act of invoking the name of Allah during slaughter, and this is much debated by Islamic scholars. However, the majority of scholars state that the slaughterer must say tasmiyah, which is bismillah, and eaten before the animal is cut. Meanwhile, the law of halakha states that Sochet should bless the slaughtering process with kindness. Although it is not a mandatory thing, it's practiced in a practice to this day. The verse used by Sochet clearly praises Allah and make it adopted by the majority of sects in Islam because there is no obligation to utter the intention in Arabic. As such, the issue arises when there is a process of blessing made according to different groups of animals. Orthodox Jewish teaching require them to pronounce the name of a god for a good purpose. So, the Sochet does not have to repeat the verse for every animal to be slaughtered. They can only recite the verse once for a group of animals, provided that the animals are slaughtered non-stop, one by one. So, in theory, a Sochet can slaughter several cows or dozens of chicken with just one tasmiyah. utterance. So, this is a way confusion can arise for Muslims who want to eat kosher meat due to the difference of opinion of the sects. The second challenge, as time change, there arises the issue of the perversion of the scribes. The excitement of the people of the book who believe in the true Torah was not can again be clearly demonstrated nowadays. Ultimately, kosher food is a haram for Muslims based on the difference in the principle of food rules that have been explained by the researchers. This difference covered the whole a belief in a God that had changed from the teaching of the original book of the Torah. Steps for the prevention of this issue include, as a Muslim, we should preferably find a place to eat our meat slaughtered by Muslims. This is because what we eat will become the blood of our flesh. Apart from that, if we are skeptical about the kosher meat, it is a base to live and avoid it because the feeling of shubha will often appear because we are not confident about the meat. And lastly, being a veteran is a base when we are abroad, especially in a country with a minority of Muslims, because only plants are better and confident for us to eat, besides able to keep our body is healthy.
Next is the usage of machine to slaughter an animal. The usage of machines in the slaughter is an advanced technology used today in the food and halal industry. This is intended to facilitate a slaughter process involving dozens of animals. This machine is not only used by slaughterhouses or food industry, but also used for slaughter on Hari Raya Idul Adha, which involve dozens of animals that want to be slaughtered. The slaughtering process that uses this machine can increase food safety for a raw material. Throughout the slaughtering process, aspect of cleanliness is highly emphasized in accordance with Islamic law. Then, the slaughtering process using this machine can also save time and manpower. This slaughtering process becomes easier because it does not require much help. It only requires careful monitoring for make sure that machine doing well and not broken. However, each of good machine also has its own shortcomings. Next is issues about the usage of machine to slaughter an animal, which is the first issue. The people who operate the slaughtering machines are not Muslims. This can cause the slaughter to be invalid because the legal condition of the slaughter is to be Muslim and have knowledge. The slaughtered animal should be slaughtered for the sake of Allah. They also need to know the parts of the animal that need to be cut during the slaughter. In addition, the second issue is machine damage or bluntness of the blade can result in some animals not being slaughtered properly. This can cause the food to be shubha. Therefore, the person operating the machine must ensure that the blade is sharp and the machine can function properly before the slaughtering activity is carried out. This is to avoid loss and ensure that the animal can be eaten because it was slaughtered according to Islamic law. Next, how to solve the issue usage machine to slaughter an animal. First, the slaughterer must be Muslim and have knowledge about how to slaughter. This is to prevent the occurrence of cases of illegal slaughter of animals. In addition to suffering losses, it can also cause shubha to occur on the animal. Therefore, the person who slaughters and operates the machine must have knowledge. Next, the machine must have a sharp blade to cut the four main parts of the arteries, namely the windpipe, jugular artery, foot pipe, and jugular vein. If the machine can cut this part of the arteries perfectly, then the animal is halal to eat. The slaughtering is rejected if it is not cut into halqum, fragments, or a combination of both, and the animal become a carcass. Next, the machine must meet the requirements of slaughtering equipment. The machine should be ensured that it can slaughter animals in the manner mentioned above, able to take the life an animal simply and immediately. This is to prevent torture to animals in parallel with Islamic principle for human beings to be compassionate. Next, the condition for a slaughterer is people with clear vision, which is not blind. The slaughterer is not from among people who are blind, which causes him to be unable to know the position or condition of the animal with his sight. If the slaughter is done by a blind person, then the slaughter is invalid and the animal cannot be eaten. This is because the blind man slaughters not cutting on the right vein.
To present about stunning. Okay, what is stunning? Stunning is a way used to simplify the process slaughtering animals by stunning animals before slaughter. And why stunning exists? Okay, stunning exists because it developed in response to rising meat demand, and it is seen to be highly useful in the slaughter process. For example, for a slaughterhouse such as Ayamas Food Corporation SDN BHD in Malaysia, the average chicken production is almost 70 to 80,000 chickens a day. So, it can help the slaughtering process can be done more quickly and effectively. The third one is slaughtermen can avoid the injury that might occur while slaughtering the animal, whether it is a cow or a buffalo. The consequence might happen while slaughtering when the animal not was being stunned. Second, we go to stunning issues. Okay, the use of stunning methods such as penetrative captive bout and non-penetrative captive bouts, or referred to as mushroom head, stunner use has raised doubts to many parties as it can cause cracking to the skull of the animal before slaughter. So it will cause the animal become prohibited to Muslim to eat. Okay, same as the second issue, as it using the same equipment to stun haram animals such as pig and halal animals. So it become haram because it contaminated with haram animals. So the last one is how to solve a stunning issue. Okay, the first one is the equipment needs to be properly designed to achieve maximum efficiency, and slaughterers need to be well trained to properly operate the equipment. Second, the management is responsible for ensuring the competency of the operator, the 13 appropriate and effective methods, and the proper maintenance and periodic monitoring of the equipment by the competent authority. Lastly, the employers working with livestock need systematic animal welfare training. Okay.
And lastly, for the conclusion, because it is a God's will, Muslims consider eating halal foods to be one of their forms of worship. And halal manufacturing regulations are detailed in the Al-Quran, also in Hadith, which is As-Sunnah, and is indeed essential in Islam owing to the conditions of the animal slaughter. And also, thus, the animal must be alive when slaughtered, and the slaughter must be performed by a Muslim or one of the scribes. When it comes to the regulations and standards of the Islamic Sharia slaughter, the slaughter must be reasonable, mature, and also a normal person. And that's all from us. Thank you.